Okay, so you got Poppy with Pop's Place. Today, again, and I just came to you with that wonderful candy corn peanut recipe, but right now, a very good friend of mine from all the way back in high school, Cynthia, has asked me to do my bread pudding recipe, and we are going to give it a try. Now, I don't think I have the rum for the rum sauce, but the bread pudding, yeah, we can do that, I think. Maybe we'll find something somewhere to mix up some kind of a delightful concoction for a lovely decadent liqueur sauce. And you say, I don't drink, I don't do rum. Okay, well, that's fine. But you can also make the sauce and use rum extract rather than using real rum. So it's a delight. It's so good. It's so good. You're going to love it. So in just a minute, we'll come back and we will look at these beautiful ingredients to make bread pudding. All right, so we're going to jump into some of these beautiful ingredients that we need to make bread pudding. And boy, is it a good one. This is a good fall dessert. It's great pretty much any way you want to do it. But the main component, of course, is bread. And I'm just going to tell you right out of the chute, you don't need like fresh bread. It's probably better if you use day-old bread or something that's left over. Like today, I was in Walmart and I picked up this loaf of French bread for 70 cents because it was like the ready to expire kind of thing. And even when you do that, it's a good idea to cut it up, leave it out on the cutting board, and let it just dry out a little bit. You don't want to toast it, but you want it to dry out. That's a good idea. Over here, I found just a little bit of rum in the liquor cabinet, so that will be going into my rum sauce. I don't think it's enough, but we'll use some other flavorings and doctor it up a little. I've got 4 beautiful large eggs. We have 2 cups of white granulated sugar. Now you can mix this up if you want to. You want to do 1 cup brown, 1 cup white. It's a delight. It doesn't matter. It'll still be amazing. I have 4 cups. The recipe calls for 4 cups of milk, and I use whole milk, but I will tell you, I go just shy of 4 cups in my big pitcher here, and then I put the rest as heavy cream just to give it a little more oomph, because that's the way I like it. And then right down here, 3 tablespoons of butter that we're going to melt before we actually add to the recipe. That will be absolutely great. Right over here, we have ground cinnamon. We have a cup of raisins. And now if you notice right there, I've got this Happy Home vanilla. It's actually imitation vanilla. It's okay. I mean, I use it for baking in a pinch, but honestly, that little bottle right there behind it, I am making vanilla for the holidays, and if it was ready, I'd be using it right now. It's not quite ready. Probably by the end of October, it'll be a perfect vanilla extract, but it basically calls for 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, a cup of raisins, and a tablespoon of vanilla extract, and we will whip all of that up and then just toss it over with the beautiful bread, let it soak it up. I cannot even begin to tell you or to describe the level of sexy that will be climbing out of my oven in just an hour or so. It's going to be amazing. And at the same time, I have to cook dinner for hungry people, so we're going to do our best to do both at the same time and do our reveals at the same time. So we'll be back shortly. All right, so first things first, we've got this beautiful loaf of French bread, and it is day old. It doesn't matter. As a matter of fact, what you have laying around your house is perfect. What I generally do is I cut this up and I leave it lay out on my cutting board while I prepare the other parts of the recipe, because what you want is this to dry out just a little bit. So I will take this and just slice it up, chunks of bread. Pretty much all we need. You can't see me where I'm at, but just have to trust that's what I'm doing. I'll do it on the other side in the next patch. Just cut this up and pile it up so that it starts to dry out right over here. So let me move that. And a little renegade bread. So I just cube it, and I cube it in, it depends on what I'm in the mood for. A lot of times it's just 1 inch to, ½ inch cubes if I want to go smaller. Depends on what I'm after. Today, I'm not much caring because I got literally to make, I can probably tell you, I'm making cabbage and noodles for dinner tonight, but you want to talk a nice, inexpensive recipe. The Polish dish is haluszki, and it is so good. cabbage, noodles, and sausage, and peas, and you cook it down, and it's literally this one-dish meal, perfect for fall. Even though it's 90 degrees here in Florida, I refuse to admit that life is that bad for me. I'm not going to do it. One day, I'll be somewhere up north. Excuse the squeak, squeak door. My daughter's walking a dog. Our world is all about the dogs, y'all. Not kidding you. So we cut this up, and I'm not gonna make your life, boring by just letting you watch me cut a whole loaf of bread. But just know, you cut this up the way you want to. You can shred it. You don't even have to cut it. If you just want to tear it in pieces, that works too. It all works out well. And we'll cut all this up, and then we'll prepare the other ingredients momentarily. All right, so I probably should have mentioned it before, but the first thing you should have done with the whole recipe was to heat up the oven to 350 degrees, let it get nice and hot. You heard it, that it was preheated before, so we should be good to go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and use this same pitcher that I have the milk in, and that will be the ideal situation. I'm not dirtying up something else, but I am going to go ahead and put 30 seconds on this butter to get it melted. First thing I'll do is I'll go in with this sugar and just start whipping it into this milk. Doesn't have to be absolutely dissolved. You just want to whip it in there. You're making sweet milk and cream at this point. Get that? Now usually I would be a little more hesitant just to crack an egg in a bowl, because I have had some experiences where that didn't work out quite right. So I will crack an egg into this bowl since I already have this dirtied, and I will, sorry, my microwave is the most irritating microwave on the planet. Throw these eggshells in the disposal there. Don't hate, appreciate. Thank you for the disposal. All right, we're just gonna crack them eggs, make sure we don't get any shell. It's always good to do it in another bowl, because then if you wind up, dropping a piece of shell, it's easier to fish it out of a small bowl than it is to fish it out of a large bowl. And this is really kind of too small a bowl to be whipping these eggs, but I'm not gonna whip them too much. I'll just give them a little hoopty there. Tell them who's boss a little bit, not very much. All right, so now we've got this milk, and I am just whipping it into the milk. It's fabulous. I did make a mess on the counter there. What a pig I am. All right, so here we go. Well, I'm just getting this everywhere, but I will tell you, it doesn't quite matter. This recipe will forgive you 100 times over. It doesn't care. I just whip these eggs up into there where they're really nice and combined with the milk and the sugar. Clean up my other mess over here, because I am the mess maker du jour. If it's not dirty before I cook, it will definitely be dirty after I cook, but I am pretty good about doing my own dishes. So now I will come along and put my beautiful, and I do mean beautiful, couple of teaspoons, and I'll go a little light on that one since I had kind of a lot on that first one. A couple of teaspoons of cinnamon, which I just want to gently combine. We don't want to flip it out on the floor. Again, all of this does not have to be perfect. You don't have to have perfection. This is a large quantity of liquid, but you're going to see we have a large quantity of bread. I keep forgetting the butter. We'll come along with that butter. And I'm going to put that beautiful melted butter in there. Very nice. Whip it in. You must whip it. Whip it good. Okay, so there we go. And I'm going to use this imitation vanilla because it's all I got. I would be using the real deal. I'm going to do 1 tablespoon of this vanilla extract. We'll stir it in. Now, honestly, it doesn't matter how you do this because it works out well any way you do it. It doesn't really matter. But you can put your raisins into this, or you can put them into the bread. And I kind of like to put them in the bread. So I got a cup of raisins here that I'm just going to kind of sparse out a little bit. We will get a big spoon and make this do its magic. Now, I'm going to tell you when I do this, I like this to sit for just a few minutes. I don't like to just take it and do it, because this bread it's kind of like the way French toast is. It's going to absorb this beautiful, delicious, amazing content. Now, something that some folks may never tell you, I'm going to go ahead and tell you because I love you, and that's why. I always put a little bit of salt, maybe a half a teaspoon of salt, into my desserts. You don't taste salt. It's not like a huge flavor, but it does add just a little bit of contrast, and that makes for a much more enlivened dessert. Now what I'm going to do is just kind of turn these over. I don't want to shred this bread. I want it to absorb. Absorb. Come on, baby, absorb. Just make sure that all of them are making contact with this beautiful liquid there. And we want it to soak in. Definitely not going to toss it enough that it's going to shred the bread, but it's going to absorb all that liquid. And when we come back, we're going to put it in a baking dish and throw it in the oven, and then I'll jump into the rum sauce. Okay, back again. We've got our baking dish, and it is sprayed with just some cooking oil spray. You know, you can use store brand, you can use name brand, whatever makes you happy. I'm going to pull back over my bread pudding and just take a look. It's doing pretty good, absorbing all of that liquid. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to start dipping into this baking dish. The liquid will continue to do its thing. I have not waited very long because I got something else to cook. But we're going to go ahead and throw it in there. Try to get it sparsed out. If you ever, like if you're a single person and you're like, man, I can't eat this whole loaf of raisin bread, make bread pudding out of it. You know, put it in the fridge. It'll keep a few days. And as far as bread pudding, and I'm going to tell you my experience, I make a big pan like this, and there are 3 people that live right here right now. My daughter's moving out in a few months. You know, there ain't going to be nobody else but me, little old me. Am I going to stop making this? You have lost your mind. Of course I'm not going to stop making this. So what I do is I will make this, and I will divide this pan into quarters, and I will freeze about 3/4 of it in individual Ziploc bags, and the other quarter I'll eat it over the course of a couple of days. It keeps in the fridge just fine. It's delectable, it's delightful, it's beautiful. It's a good thing. So, all right, so I am pushing down the bread into this liquid, just making sure that it's nice and flat and sexy and beautiful, because that's what we want. And this right here is going to be flippin' amazeballs. I'm not kidding you, okay? So, we're going to throw this in the oven. It bakes for about an hour, and in the meantime, we will make rum sauce, because you deserve it. I like you enough. You deserve it. Okay, so for the rum sauce, what you need, this is kind of kooky, but we're going to do it, and I'll show you what I do. We need a cup of sugar, a cup of water, a tablespoon of cornstarch. We're going to need a pinch of salt, and then we come back with usually a 1/4 cup of rum. I don't know that I have a 1/4 cup of rum. We're going to do our very best, see what we have, but we'll make this rum sauce, show you how it works up, and you'll get to see it for yourself. How about that? So, okay, so now this sugar in this pan, I'm not kidding you when I tell you, you can melt it in the heat of the pan, just slowly over low heat, and it will caramelize and make a beautiful caramel sauce. If you don't want to do the rum sauce, you could do something completely different. If you wanted to do it, just, you know, find somebody's video on making a caramel sauce. We'll have to do that for you. I'm going to get myself a tablespoon of cornstarch here, and I'm just adding it to this sugar. Give it a little knock knock. Not sure why it didn't go, but we'll make it work. And then I'm just dry. Now there's no heat on this pan. I am literally just whisking this in to my sugar. The main reason is cornstarch, when you apply liquid to it directly, sometimes it can kind of clump up, but when you mix it with another medium like sugar, it tends to more easily, you know, integrate into a liquid. So I kind of like to do that. Now, don't get me wrong, I will make a cornstarch slurry, and quite often do to thicken something on the stove, but this is the easy way to do it. You can actually mix your cornstarch with, you know, something like, you know, either your flour or your sugar or your brown sugar, and you can actually, you know, accomplish exactly what you need. So this is a 1/3 cup. I'm going to do 3 of these. And then we're going to go to dissolving. I am going to be a bad boy and put me a little pinch of salt, because that's the way I roll. And before I'm even turning my burner on, I'm just trying to incorporate all of this into the rum sauce. Right now it's just sugar water, basically. That ain't what's going to make it good, but you'll find out. Okay, so there we go. You're good? All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn this burner on a pretty high heat, because all of this, when I tell you it happens quickly, it happens quickly. All right. All right, so I've got a little bit of this 5-year-old Barbados rum. My daughter's looking at me like she needs to come in here. Come on, girl. You do what you need to do. All right. I'm just shy of a 1/4 cup of this Barbados rum, and that's okay. Because honestly, I ain't trying to get drunk, I'm trying to get flavor. So what I'm going to do instead is, I got this Happy Home butter flavor. I'm going to add a little bit of that. That should be kind of fun. I'm also going to put in a tablespoon of butter and melt it into this. So we'll get that. Yes, we will. I had a knife I used before and I laid aside, so I will put that here. Going to get me about a tablespoon of butter. You're going to find out I don't measure a hell of a lot. I'm just going to tell you. Because, what's the point? Although now my kids, they are all about that business. They want everything measured. And I'll be honest with you, if you're doing baking, if you're making bread, or if you're making cupcakes or something like that, you definitely want to measure to the T. And I mean, do it just the way that the recipe author says to do it. Because if you don't, you know, you'll wind up either making bread that's too dense or a cake that doesn't rise. You definitely want to use that. So I'm going to pause this for just a moment, and then we're going to come back and I'll show you this right as it's about to thicken up, okay? Okay, so we're getting there. This is about to come to a boil, so you got to be kind of quick. But I have continued to whisk this until the butter is melted, and this mixture is getting piping hot. Every pan I've got has got a wobble on the stove because somebody sticks it under cold water while it's still hot. One day I'll have pans that are in decent condition. By the way, don't do that. If your pan is hot, don't put it under cold water. Let it cool. Then it'll cool the right way. So now this one is pretty easy. Now I'll plate this up after I do the supper video. I am going to come back in a few minutes and do my supper video because I can't eat my dessert before supper. That's kind of evil. So, I mean, I can. I'm an old man. I can do anything I want pretty much. But all right, so we are right there. Almost there. Where are we at? Come on. It's getting nice and hot for sure. I just want to get to that boiling point. So I'll come back in 1 second. All right, so now I don't know if you can see this, but this liquid is starting to thicken up just a little bit. And that's exactly what we want. As soon as it comes to a boil, that process happens very, very fast. Very quickly turns into a very thick, beautiful sauce, which we shall show to you. We are right there. Let me go ahead and get a spoon. I'm going to walk away, and there it went. Did you see it? Just right that second, it started to boiling. See how that's thickening up? It is such a delight. We're just going to whip that while it does its best work. Look at that. Ugh. Now seriously, if this ain't thick enough for you, add a little more cornstarch. But now here is almost a 1/4 cup of rum, a couple of teaspoons of butter flavor and a teaspoon of vanilla, which I'm going to very quickly add into my mix, and it's going to cool it down right quick. But I'm just going to let this continue to simmer, because what we want to do is I want to cook off some of that rum. I'm going to turn this down so it's not on high. Oh my goodness, if you could smell that right now. And if it starts to boil over, just lift it off the burner a little bit. We're going to get it so that it's exactly what it needs to be. I am not kidding you. Now, I just don't want this to boil over. I'd show you what I'm going to show you. Let's see. You going to boil over? Don't do it. All right. This rum sauce, when I tell you, I make it, and I jar it, and I keep it, and I put it on apple pie, and I put it on pumpkin bread, and I put it on bread pudding. And I will dip out some vanilla ice cream, sprinkle it with raisins, and do this rum sauce. Heat it up just a couple of seconds in the microwave, and you have rum raisin ice cream to die for. Amazing. So, all right, so I'm going to let this continue to boil down some of this liquid, cook off some of that alcohol, and when we come back, I will plate it up, and we will show you exactly how it turns out. So I need you to trust me when I tell you how amazing this house smells right now with this bread pudding in it. It has puffed up, it is fluffed up, it is hot, it is delicious, and right as I serve it, we're going to put a good old dollop of rum sauce on it. Most of this will probably go in the freezer, and I'll eat on it until Thanksgiving, because that's how good it is. And let me just tell you, I'm telling you, for 4 eggs and 70 cents worth of day-old bread, how are you going to make something better than this? How are you going to make something better than this? Just asking. So I'll come back and plate it up in a little while. All right, so I couldn't do this off camera. I tried. I was going to. This bread pudding, oh my goodness. I need you to look. Look at the bread pudding. How beautiful. And look at this rum sauce. Ugh. This is decadent, delicious. This is definitely not for the diabetic, okay? And I am a diabetic, and I'm still eating it. You know what I mean? So, you got to try this stuff. It's good. It's good eating, and it's good to get rid of that bread that your family ain't eating, and it is so warming of the soul. I can't even explain it. So definitely try the bread pudding. Let me know in the comments if you tried it and what you think. Or tell me if you got what you think is a better recipe. I'd love to try yours. So anyway, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you tell your friends, because we're going to keep doing this, and hopefully we'll get some recipes together that you will enjoy. You know what I mean? I'm not going to eat this because I haven't eaten my dinner yet, but it's beautiful. I can't wait. All right, we'll talk to you soon. Bye. Lama lama duma lama 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 sima lama 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 duma lama 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 sima lama. Woohoo!